I'm just going to show some highlights from Ron Paul's Liberty Report. What's to blame for nationwide riots? Police brutality or lockdown? Anyway, I think this is the nub of it here.
You have to go to a black market, and this is what happened here when this lockdown occurred. The medical system, because they interfered with it, just closed down. And now we're hearing all these stories, billions of dollars lost in hospitals going broke, people not getting medical care. How many cancer patients didn't get their treatment?
Yeah.
It goes on and on. And some of them that were responsible that, oh, well, we didn't realize that this would happen. Of course, they should realize that governments aren't good central planners. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a perfect example of what central economic planning is like if it's total in a medical system. And even if the whole country's not there, this time it was in the medical system. And in a way, this has been incremental. The government involvement in medicine didn't occur just this past week. We set the stage for this because really the furthest point we've gotten along with universal care and moving in that direction was Obamacare.
Yeah.
But didn't we have the Republicans there to resist that?
Yeah.
We had them in the Supreme Court, and they said, oh, that's legal. You know, you can do whatever you want. Just don't call it a penalty. Just call it a tax. That was Roberts, of course.
Yeah.
And they legalized that. So the assumption was that the government has a responsibility to divvy out the medical care. And it's a disaster. It's pure socialism. And if they want anybody who is reasonable thinking should look at this and say, well, I want to help the sick people. I want to take care of the sick people. They ought to look at this. This is how you take care of sick people, and look at what happens. First off, to justify it, they had to tell a lot of lies.
Yeah.
And then when it happened, they did the wrong things, and it becomes, it's delusional. Then it becomes sort of a patriotic duty, like the mask. What terrible symbolism that is. And I don't believe for a minute that saved one life. And the evidence is starting to come out to show that it's detrimental and may have killed people.
Yeah.
Because I look at it as a barrier. First, it has to slow down the exhaling of CO2. I thought CO2 was bad, but no, the CO2 doesn't go out. The oxygen has more trouble coming in, and these masks won't keep out the viruses anyway. So it makes no sense. It's so. Everything they've done seems to be so symbolic, and it turns out that the enemy, the invisible virus, probably is not going to end up being all that critical, especially when they don't even they lie about all the records.
Yeah.
Here, what do? They say, well, everybody dies from coronavirus. Just put it down. If they sneezed last week, it's the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so it's so deceitful. It has. It is a lesson. I just wish the American people would realize if you want central economic planning of any sort, or in medicine, which we're really one-party payment, we're having that, this is what kind of medical care you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is interesting, there were no heart attacks in May, I think, right?
Right.
Because nobody went to the hospital when they had one. Normally, if you had a minor heart attack, you'd go in, you'd have a procedure done, and you'd live for a long time. The other thing I'm hearing of, Dr. Paul, there's some reports of people working in retail forced to wear masks, and you know about this issue better than me, but they're coming up with pleurisy, because they're having this inflammation, this bacterial infection in the lining of their, esophagus or something, because of this always breathing this in.
Yeah.
So there are side effects, but there are even bigger ones than that. And you talk about central planning when it comes to medical care. I think that poster child is what's happening in New York, and more is coming out about what Cuomo did to New York, and it's just criminal. Betsy McCaughey wrote in Fox News over the weekend a piece. She talked about an estimated 10,000 nursing home residents in New York died with this virus. And Cuomo, of course, he said, don't blame me for following what Trump said. But she points out that Trump never said, put people back in their home if they're sick with COVID from the hospital. He said if there's a hospital battling it, you can still take them home as long as they're not ill. The CDC on March 18th warned against returning COVID sick patients to their nursing homes. On March 25th, a week later, Cuomo mandated that they be returned to their homes. And this murderous policy, you can't say anything other than that, this murderous policy from March 25th continued through May 10th of putting sick people in their homes, and that's why they were just basically turning into slaughterhouses. So there's government planned care for you.
And we've seen some statistics when you remove the people who died relating to the nursing home.
Yeah.
The percentage of people that died is just really, really low. And that's where the large number of like 70 or 80% are related to that situation, which is artificial. But you know, another thing that the government did under these circumstances is dealing with chloroquine. You know, that is...
Well, I'm going to stop it now. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I've thought it was a preposterous situation from the beginning. I could see it was hyped. I got the Hong Kong flu. I got the London flu. More impactful, 1968, 69, Hong Kong. The 73 London flu, true enough, it didn't really make too many headlines, but the Hong Kong flu was definitely more lethal, more impactful, no reaction. I wasn't a big rock and roll guy, but the Grateful Dead apparently did a whole bunch of concerts. You had Woodstock, you know, big gatherings of people all during this big epidemic, and there was no such nonsense going on. And in fact, I just believe everything the government did just made everything worse, now resulting in frustrated people rioting. The government's taken away their ability to run a business or to be employed. We got 40 million people not employed or more. And so who wouldn't be frustrated? I don't endorse the looting or any kind of violence, but I can understand why people are going insane. All caused by the government. If in the future, if there's going to be, just let people know what's going on and allow people to decide whether they want to mix around or go out in public or go to work. Let people decide. It's always worked in the past. Social distancing isn't anything new by any means. Don't you remember when your friend was sick, you didn't want to go in the room with them? For crying out loud? Or and you got mad if somebody showed up to work sick, and that happens and will continue to happen. You say, God damn it, you know, why'd you show up here? You're spreading this around. So the social pressure always worked in the past. Plus the just knowing, hey, goddamn, don't get near me. Anyway, but the government forcing these things and the goddamn masks, there's more and more people coming up to show how possibly bad they are. In fact, Tony Fauci earlier on, he said you didn't need to wear a mask and that fiddling around with it could cause problems. Well, I'll shut up now.